I have a question for all of you, especially those of you who support President Donald Trump. Do you think the US is genuinely fighting drug trafficking, or is Trump's Venezuela strategy a geopolitical power play? I'm looking forward to reading your comments on this one. In fact, post a comment now with your point of view and then watch the video. Subscribe if you haven't already. And then tell me at the end if your views have changed in any way. All right, deep breath. Let's dive in. So, Nicolás Maduro turned another year older, and instead of a quiet cake cutting, he ends up receiving two of the most politically charged birthday messages on the planet. Not from regional allies, not from friendly presidents, but from Xi Jinping and Vladimir Putin. You know a story is shifting when the two most powerful challengers to US global influence send the Venezuelan president letters that read less like happy birthday and more like we've got your back, publicly, loudly and strategically. Putin's message? Unwavering solidarity with the friendly people of Venezuela. That's basically Putin saying, we stand with Maduro no matter what pressure Washington applies. Xi's message? Even sharper. China categorically rejects any foreign interference in Venezuela under any pretext. Categorically, under any pretext. Those are fighting words in diplomatic language. And Maduro, smiling on his weekly TV show, reads these letters to the nation. Because he knows exactly what they mean. He is no longer just a regional concern. He is a global flashpoint.
Yo con el teléfono aquí, Huawei, este Huawei me lo regaló el presidente Xi Jinping. Mira, ya tiene 2 años y pico y está, bueno pues, perfecto, Huawei, lo recomiendo. Nadie se lo puede intervenir, es inintervenible. Se puede decir, asesor, no se puede intervenir, o sea, un teléfono blindado a cualquier tipo de intervención, sea satelital o de cualquier sitio, ¿no? Ya va que me están informando de cosas aquí.
The Trump administration is painting an entirely different picture. In a memo shared with Newsweek, the White House links Venezuela to narco-terrorism and argues the US is effectively in a non-international armed conflict with groups tied to the region. When the US starts using words like armed conflict, it is setting the legal groundwork for military action. And then, without any warning, the post happens. Donald Trump jumps onto Truth Social and writes, to all airlines, pilots, drug dealers and human traffickers, please consider the airspace above and surrounding Venezuela closed. One line. No explanation. Just a geopolitical spark dropped into dry grass. Latin American governments sprinted to figure out what it meant. Airlines scrambled. Analysts dissected every word. Was this an ultimatum? A pre-strike signal? A deterrent? Or just Trump being Trump? Reporters asked him directly aboard Air Force One, and Trump, smiling, said, don't read anything into it. Ah yes, don't read anything into the President of the United States announcing that the airspace over a foreign country is closed in its entirety. Nothing to see here. Move along. Trump confirmed he had spoken with Maduro and then mysteriously added, I wouldn't say it went well or badly, which usually means it went exactly how you might imagine a Trump-Maduro phone call would go. And here's where it gets more serious. The United States is expanding military operations in the Caribbean, not small patrols. We are talking about the USS Gerald Ford, a nuclear-powered supercarrier, plus a surge of naval vessels. Signaling presence? Yes, but much, much more than that. Signaling pressure. The move comes right after US forces carried out deadly attacks on boats in international waters, claiming they were drug traffickers. But then, the Washington Post dropped its bombshell. Defense Secretary Pete Hegseth, allegedly ordered the US Navy to kill everyone on board certain boats, including a second strike that targeted and killed 2 injured survivors. Hegseth denies it. Trump says he'll look into it. Republican lawmakers, yes, Republicans, are furious. Ohio's Mike Turner calls it potentially an illegal act. Nebraska's Don Bacon says it would be a clear violation of the law of war. When members of the president's own party sound like UN investigators, you know something is very, very wrong in Washington. 11 unidentified people on board a small boat were targeted and killed by the full might of the US military. Where is international law? Where is due process? Where are the West's human rights advocates? Were those 11 people really drug smugglers? The Washington Post quoted a DEA official who said, 11 people is an unrealistically large number for a smuggling op. It's more likely to have been illegal migrants. Smugglers usually have much smaller crews, especially for a boat this size. Think about it. The more people on board, the less room for drugs to sell. Trump, however, is totally unapologetic about the broader operation. You can see the boats, he says. You can see the drugs. Each boat is responsible for killing 25,000 Americans. How many of you actually believe him? Just hours earlier, President Trump announced a pardon for the former president of Honduras, Juan Orlando Hernandez, who has been serving a 45-year sentence. For what? For partnering with drug traffickers who had allegedly shipped 400 tons of cocaine to the United States. And in September, Trump delivered the majors list to Congress, the list which identifies countries responsible for producing and transporting illicit drugs to the United States. There are 23 countries named in this, the 2026 majors list. 23 countries. Guess how many the US is bombing? 1. Venezuela. Not Colombia, not Afghanistan, certainly not China, India, Pakistan, which are all on the list. Only Venezuela. Why Venezuela?
No nos metemos con nadie en este mundo. Quieren robarse el petróleo. ¿Vamos a dejar que se roben el petróleo de Venezuela? Quieren robarse el gas de Venezuela. ¿Lo vamos a permitir?
Oil, the resource that the United States is the world's #1 consumer of. In fact, American demand for oil is growing. This year, the US used 20 million barrels of oil per day. That's the highest in 18 years. So while the US is the world's largest oil producer, its demand for oil is so high that it still needs to import about 30 to 35% of its total oil consumption. So if Maduro is right that it's about oil, why Venezuela specifically? If drug trade is the excuse that Trump is using to increase US control over foreign oil, then let's take another look at that majors list, Trump's own roster of countries responsible for drugs coming into the US. If we sort those 23 countries by the amount of oil they produce, look at what we'd get. The top 3 are China, Mexico, Venezuela. No question of attacking China, a nuclear-armed behemoth. No need to attack Mexico, which already sends 75% of its oil to the US. What's left? Venezuela. But now Venezuela has made it clear it's not alone. On live TV, Maduro thanks Xi and Putin for standing with Venezuela in an authentic and courageous way. He talks about a growing, fervent love for Venezuela around the world.
Que con la China tenemos relaciones de confianza profunda, amplia, y establecimos una asociación estratégica a toda prueba para todo momento. Y estos momentos que le ha tocado vivir a Venezuela, la relación China-Venezuela pasa a la prueba ampliamente, y este momento ha sido para profundizarla y fortalecerla en todos los frentes de trabajo hoy por hoy. Así que esa carta del presidente Xi Jinping ratifica párrafo por párrafo, escrita de puño y letra, su solidaridad y apoyo a toda Venezuela.
But let's be real. Is this really love? Or is it leverage? global positioning, three superpowers drawing lines in the Caribbean sand, and Venezuela, whether it wants to be or not, has become the stage for this collision. If the US pushes harder, China and Russia will respond. If China and Russia push harder, the US will escalate. And in between the pressure from Washington and the protection from Moscow and Beijing sits a country that has already weathered sanctions, internal turmoil, economic collapse, mass migration, and years of political fracture. This moment, this is something new. This is triangular tension. Xi and Putin have entered the chat. Trump has thrown the US Navy into the Caribbean, and the world is watching a small country become a test of global resolve. Is this really about drugs, or is Venezuela becoming the next major front in a global US-China-Russia power struggle? So tell me, do you buy the official explanation? Or is there something bigger happening here? And if it's oil, not drugs, will it stop with, let's say, a trade deal? Or is this only the beginning? If you support Trump's Venezuela strategy, have you thought about what comes next? I really want to hear from you. Subscribe to us, get an APT channel membership if you can, because this story is not slowing down, it's accelerating.